Ordinary schoolchildren became victims of a crazy head angel who sent them to another world for bloody fun. The protagonist was the most ordinary, but there he will be able to reveal his potential. Now he is a necromancer, as dark as his soul. He no longer seeks allies among the living, he creates them from the dead. Will the king of losers become the lord of death? Let's find out. This story begins in another world, where an angel congratulated the participants of the game for surviving until the end. She said that she would return them to their world as promised, and that she would also like to grant any wish they had. The angel asked what they wished for. One girl, with an ominous gleam in her eyes, exclaimed that she wanted to kill more and more men, women, teachers. She wanted to kill everyone until the end of her days. The angel smiled and said that it was wonderful. It was so lovely when a person had such a strong thirst for blood and pain after experiencing horror and madness. Then she solemnly announced that it was time for them all to go on their way to another temple of science. The girl who was thirsty for murder ominously exclaimed that it was time to have fun. Meanwhile, in high school, Class B of the second year was holding a meeting of the students and the student council. The protagonist Fujisaki Yu stood at the blackboard with the head of the committee, Asagaya Shiki, and thought about how he wanted to go home. His desk in the classroom was number 30, and he himself was a member of the cultural festival committee. On the school board were written proposals for holding the festival. It included a cafe, an exhibition, a tent with fortune-telling. Asagaya pointed to the inscription on the board and said that this was proposed by Class B. She asked the students not to be shy and to express their opinions. The protagonist looked around the entire class and thought sadly, what opinions are there? None of them care about the festival. They will not advance anywhere like this. At least one of them should say something. But all the students were busy with their own things. Someone was buried in their phones, someone was sleeping, someone was openly bored, and someone was having their own conversations. The protagonist mentally prayed to them, well, let them say at least something. Everyone continued to ignore the protagonist and Asagaya. The head of the committee sighed heavily. MC thought that there was nothing to be done. He would have to attract the attention of the students. He addressed the class in an ingratiating voice and asked them to be more serious. They were all going to be in this cauldron. And even then, only once. They could at least say something. The sooner they started, the sooner it would be over. At the 9th desk, the best student of Gakushujuku School, Manabu, thought it would be better to work now. At the 24th desk sat a blogger named Tagura Mu. She was happily thinking about the fact that she had uploaded a new video. At the desk number 35 sat Yagyu Jue. He was a pitcher in the baseball club, and he twirled the ball in his hand. The 26th desk belonged to Hattori Nako, who was a gamer and was currently enthusiastically playing a game. At that moment, a cheeky guy named Ayamata Toru, the leader of all the delinquents, who was sitting at desk number 3, exclaimed that he would now guess what the MC was thinking. He probably thought that he was an idiot and that this role was not for him. He wanted to go home, so let his classmates say something already. He asked the protagonist, "Is that so?" The protagonist was embarrassed and noticed that he was saying something. Zakiyama Kazuo, Toru's close friend, who was sitting at desk number 18, said that the protagonist was a bad organizer of the cultural festival. At desk number 34 was Yagimura Hitoshiki, also a friend of the leader of all the delinquents. He chuckled and asked his friends, well, will they help the protagonist? Fujisaki objected that they did not understand everything that way at all. He just wanted them to take a more active part in the discussion of the festival. Toru asked his friends if they would help him finish this for the sake of MC. The whole class started making fun of the protagonist. Like, has he lost his nerve? Who even nominated him for the committee? The protagonist cursed. What the hell did that bully leader say? While the students were teasing the bully, laughing at the fact that he was a clown after all, the protagonist indignantly thought that it was he who voted for him, so that they could mock him later. At that moment, Shiki clapped her hands, calming the class, and said that MC was right. This was their last festival with the current lineup, so they should leave good memories of this day. And at the same time, they would discuss all the details. The class buzzed, agreeing with the head of the committee, like, they should try harder, she was right. The girl continued that the faster they finished, the faster everyone would go home. The protagonist admired the head of the committee. He thought she was incredible. She was a beauty, an athlete, and one of the best students in the class. Even though he was forcibly promoted to the committee, he was still happy to work with her. The students began to rush each other. They should have thought faster. What were they going to do? Would a tent with a fortune teller be appropriate? At that moment, the strongest bully of the school named Kira Rikuo stood up from the 13th desk, and with him, ISEKAI'D, a little demoness sitting at the second desk. Rikuo apologized to everyone and said that they were leaving with Kaide. They did not need these memories of theirs. The girl waved her hand to everyone and said goodbye. The protagonist thought indignantly, because everything was fine just now. They started again. He called out to his classmates and tried to stop them. The guy addressed him by name, apologized to him, and said that in their hodgepodge he would never please everyone. He should just follow the path of least resistance. The protagonist was surprised and silent in response. Toru decided that they should do an exhibition then. All the work could be dumped on the MC and the rest would be free. The students supported his decision. Others asked, what kind of exhibition is this? The protagonist thought that it was all great. Of course, damn those Rikuo and Keide, but the protagonist was grateful to them for their idea. He took a chalk and began to draw something on the board. Now, if anything, he would be able to present the festival plan to the teacher. At this time, a young businessman named Zaizan Maria, whose fortune was estimated at 50 million yen, who was sitting at the 17th desk, noted that they were celebrating too early. Do they really believe that these idiots are capable of coming up with something sensible? Rikuo stopped, frowned, and stood in front of the young businessman with a fighting spirit. The students happily squealed that there was going to be a fight now. Let them beat each other up. Shiki asked the fighters to stop. The protagonist thought with annoyance, what the hell is going on? Well, what a businessman started. It's good that the teacher was about to arrive. He would quickly cool their ardor. The door to the classroom opened, and a girl of simply unearthly appearance entered, with a halo shining above her head. Everyone in the class was at a loss. Who was she? The girl walked in complete silence to the board and smiled angelically. At the sight of her, everyone's thoughts began to spin. Someone noted her angelic appearance, her outfit, and the way the halo swirled above her head. Someone decided that the girl was from Class C and came to advertise it to them. Do they have an angel cafe there or something? Was there such a beauty in Class C? Whatever the case, everyone was confused. The protagonist apologized to her, intending to ask who she was. He thought she was so strange, came into their class and didn't even say hello. Shiki turned to her, apologized, and said that she didn't know where she was from, but the girl was a little in their way. According to her information, the advertisement of activities was supposed to start next week. The angel girl smiled again and greeted the class. Yagyu exclaimed in surprise that she was even talking. He greeted her back. The girl apologized for her sudden visit and continued that she came to transfer them to another world. The people present immediately perked up. They found her offer tempting. The girl said that in order to travel to another world more fun, she would give them classes and different abilities. Yakumaru Kuon, who was sitting at desk 36, answered her. She remarked that it all sounded cool. Then, she asked the angel if she could join them. If her classmates supported Kuon's idea, he began to encourage the class to join them. Everyone was interested in this proposal and began to call each other to join them. An exhibition is boring. It would be much cooler to be transported to another world. They shouted joyfully, the girls will be in cosplay. The girls objected, no way, the guys will pester them. The protagonist was amazed, and now they started talking. The classmates came closer to the angel girl. One of the students asked her where she got this outfit from. The skinny blonde looked at the halo and was surprised at how cute it was. One guy asked her how she made the graphics of the halo, adding that she had gorgeous wings, he wanted to touch them. But the angel moved away, making it clear to him that he should not touch her wings. The protagonist thought in despair that they had almost moved forward, and now he had to start all over again. He thought that he needed to drive away the unexpected guest. MC apologized and wanted to tell her to leave their class, but she ignored him, walked past him, and told the students that it was time to change classes. The protagonist was surprised to see that the girl had ignored him. A student named Goda Takeru, who was a karate bodybuilder and who was sitting at desk 16, was tirelessly working out with his dumbbells. The guest came closer to the students. They surrounded her and simply bombarded the girl with various questions and requests. Only one Mambukuji Karori, sitting at desk 32, was gobbling up donuts, saying how delicious it was. In class, she was nicknamed the Glutton. The whole class was buzzing like a flock of birds, talking and discussing what was happening. The angel girl raised her finger and said, "Stop talking." She ran her finger in the air, and the students standing next to her were cut in half. The whole class froze in shock at what they saw. The girl ran her finger in different directions and began to cut off the limbs of her victims. The sight was monstrous. No one present expected anything like this. The angel girl turned to the respected second-year students of Class B and said that she was a messenger of God, called to fulfill his will. She expressed the hope that from now on they would all obey her. Students burst out, screaming in horror, knocking each other down and running towards the exit. Their classmates, Taguchi Shinichi from desk 23, Kunisawa Masahiko from desk 14, Kagami Kyoya from desk 8, and Shishikura Marina from desk 20, they were all dead. When the students reached the door, they realized that the door was jammed, and they could not open it. Panic seized them, and only Mu calmly sat on a chair and filmed what was happening on video, commenting that finally, the demon killer was in place. Rikuo shouted to his allies for these fools to duck and not stand like pillars. The protagonist did not understand what was happening around him and what he needed to do. His classmates were shouting, interrupting each other. They could be heard screaming that there was no connection. What nonsense. Let them call the teacher. Someone was asking why the door was locked. What should they do now? They didn't want to die, but they were all going to die. The classroom was in chaos. At that moment, the messenger of God said that she would now assign them classes. She clapped her hands, and Yamamoto Yoko from Desk 37 suddenly received the samurai class and the corresponding outfit. The messenger clapped her hands again. This time, Manabu received her sage class and the appropriate outfit. Next was Karori the glutton. She received the cook class and a cook's outfit. The amazement of the girls in disguise knew no bounds. The girls' classmates exclaimed in surprise, "New clothes! How did this happen?" The angel girl laughed, clapped her hands and said like this. Asagaya received the saint class with an appropriate outfit. Shiki became the witch class, finding herself in appropriate clothing. Toru asked the messenger, "And what about him?" And he immediately received the scholar class, changing into a professor's robe. Yue received the swordsman class with all the attributes. The protagonist could not believe his eyes. What kind of magic? What was going on here anyway? The messenger changed the class. Did they really all become characters from another world? The students were worried again. What was this, preparing for the game? Well, of course, what else could it be? But most were still complaining. What about the door and windows? What will happen to them? Why is there no connection? What is going on here anyway? And only Mu remained calm, enthusiastically filming everything that was happening in the classroom at that moment. She called out to the messenger, apologized to her, and asked her what was supposed to start. The girl replied that, as she had already told them, they would all go to another world. The protagonist asked in surprise, "Another world?" The messenger replied that it was so. This so-called hodgepodge would all go to another world together. She flapped her wings and soared to the ceiling, causing even more amazement among those present. The girl grinned and said that then, they would all have to kill each other. Well, it's time to continue handing out classes. Takeru received the martial arts warrior class. Maria received the merchant class. Eureka received the aristocrat's daughter class. Marin received the saint class. Kotaro received the priest class. Kodama received the exorcist class. Taiki received the air mage class. Yui received the spirit master class. The angel happily said that now the guys who received the new class would go to another world. In an instant, almost all the students began to disappear. MC began to run to the wall in fear, just so he wouldn't get sucked in. She ordered with a smile, "Let him stop resisting." After he disappeared, the angel thoughtfully noted that she hadn't given him a class. Suddenly, Rikuo called out to her and asked what she was doing. If this was a joke, it was a shitty one. He may be an otaku, but he didn't sign up for cosplay. Let her explain herself immediately. Kazuo and Hitoshiki started shouting like, "Let him kill her!" Rikuo reached for his sword and the angel explained with a smile that first she had to move them to another world. He abruptly pulled out his sword and with a serious face shouted that she had to explain now. She snapped her finger with a smile and having teleported him, noted that all that was left was to quickly change the class of the last guys, and they would go to another world in inspiring ecstasy. After a while, already in another world, MC saw mountains of corpses in front of him. He fearfully began to ask where everyone was, where the school was. Suddenly an angel appeared and began to approach him. The protagonist pressed himself against the wall in fear and asked if this was some kind of promotional event for a gaming company. She smiled and said no. The protagonist asked if they had a collaboration with companies last year. After hearing another refusal, he hopelessly shouted that they were in virtual reality then. Wow. He really felt like he was in another world. The angel disappointed him again and started to come even closer. The MC muttered, with tears in his eyes, that he had things to do and needed to go home. He had no parents and needed to look after his younger sister. He also had a part-time job. His salary would be cut if he was late. The angel came very close to him and said with a smile that she changed the class depending on what the person's soul was like. The soul of a person absorbs the experience of a lifetime. It reflects all the strengths and weaknesses, character traits, as well as secret desires and passions. And so, the light of the soul gives birth to a class in a person. His fate is already predetermined. She folded her hands and the protagonist began to transform into a necromancer. She noted with a smile that this is a very rare class. He has the art of controlling death, escorts the underworld, and sows chaos. He's also able to control the dead, cast curses, and devour souls. This is his true appearance in this world. The protagonist asked in fear why he became like this. Maria noted that usually in games and comics, necromancers play the role of a villain. Let him be careful. In this world, people like him are hated. She expects a lot from him. Let him try to survive, okay? The angel flew away, and after a while a system window appeared with an image of a girl. She waved at the camera with a smile and asked if she could be heard. Everything is ready, so it's time to begin. Let them excuse her for the delay. She will be their only guide. Her name is Maria. In fact, she brings destruction and chaos to the human world. She is the angel of bloodshed. And now, each of the 34 students of Class B will have to take part in special extracurricular activities. They might be wondering what kind of activities these are. Like she said, they will have to kill each other and have bloody battles. Do they humans like that too? So she gave them personalized classes. Let them kill as many as possible in bloody battles until the last one survives. The last one left alive will get the best grade and return to their world. Kyuichi asked with a thoughtful look. So this is a death game? Maria continued, saying that she is sure that thanks to the killing in the other world and all the difficulties they will have to go through, they will learn a lot. And their activities will also help them find a brilliant future. MC exclaimed in fear. That means only one will return? Angel shouted madly. Forward to studying, forward to fun, and forward to killing. And now she announces that the bloody extracurricular activities in the other world have begun. The protagonist screamed in horror. Why is he a necromancer? He wants to go home to his sister. He doesn't want to kill. On the second day, Toguramu, a cartographer class, said that they were in trouble. There really are a lot of new discoveries here. Review of the participants' status. What is this, a map? It looks like this mountain valley will be the battlefield for Class 2B. Oh, and this icon shows her position. And here are all the participants. Here you can find out all the basic information about them. Class reflects a person's inclinations. Rikuo is a hero. Something in his appearance gives him away. But she didn't expect him to be so courageous. And Zaisen Maria, is he really a merchant? Well, he knows how to make money. After all, he is the son of some shady businessman. Yoko is a samurai. What has changed? She practices kendo and carries a stick with her. Takeru is a wrestler. Jue is an archer. Jun is a knight. Nothing much has changed. Yayo used to collect dolls from them, and now she controls them. How can she fight like that? The classes suit everyone so well. She looked at 3 more students and noticed that they suited everyone except these 3. But now she's an assassin. That's creepy. She's just a gamer, but inside she's a killer? Yoshikazu is a weakling. Is there really such a class? He was constantly bullied at school. Apparently, he was overflowing with helpfulness. Fujisaki became a necromancer. Of course, it's the best for such a gloomy boy, but why exactly this class? Maybe he has a connection with spirits, or he just loves the dead in a bad way? How interesting they all are. Mew thought about it. She can't believe, of course, that this Maria is really a messenger of God. But if so, how funny she is. Suddenly, a huge orc with a club appeared behind her. She happily noted that it was an orc, just like from a fantasy. Very soon, the students of Class 2B of Shikisaki School will come to kill him. Mu calmly turned away and continued to stare at the screen. The orc came even closer and tried to strike, but she dodged with lightning speed and smiled. The cartographer's skills are elusiveness, a joke skill that can baffle the enemy with the sudden disappearance and reappearance of its owner. Mu noted with admiration that all her skills are trickster ones. The others were luckier. They have something deadly in their arsenal. She thought that once the students were transported to another world with magic and skills for bloody carnage, she could stream. She would gain not just 1 million subscribers, but even 5 million. This is ideal content for a streamer blogger. After a while, MC, walking through the gloomy ruins of the city, began to shout, like, is the event organizer here? He wants to announce his withdrawal from the game. He is not playing. He has business today. He needs to go home. His family is waiting for him. He does not want to participate. Let them get him out of here. Suddenly, he heard screams in one direction and quickly moved there. Coming around the corner, the main character saw a pile of corpses and one participant with severed hands. He looked up and noticed Yoko with her sword drawn. She received the samurai class. The girl had been practicing kendo since childhood, had a 3rd dan. She was an incredible girl, good at studying, and in creativity, and in sports. He looked at her warlike and stern appearance and called out her name. She saw him and indifferently said, well, another one. Yoko began to approach him. She raised her sword at him and was going to destroy the protagonist. He desperately screamed for her to stop. It was him, her classmate, and he called himself by name. Literally a millimeter from his face, the girl stopped her sword and asked him again, is it him? Is he really Fujisaki? The protagonist answered that everything was true. He apologized for his outfit, but assertively noted that it was him. Yoko looked at him sternly and asked, is this all his doing? MC looked at her in bewilderment, not understanding what she was asking him. The girl asked him even more sternly, this terribly real and fascinating, absolutely disgusting attraction, was this his idea for a cultural festival? The protagonist exclaimed in amazement that this was not true at all. This was not an idea for a festival. They were all driven here without permission. He had nothing to do with it. He had big problems of his own. She raised the head of her former classmate with her sword, threw it towards the protagonist and noted, "So that's how it was." So she was wrong. MC replied that this was exactly it. He had nothing to do with it. And in general, it would be great if they started looking for a way out together. He was sure that the exit was somewhere here, and together, they would definitely find it. But the protagonist did not even have time to finish his sentence, as he felt a burning pain in the area of the wrists. He realized with horror that Yoko had simply cut off his hands, and blood began to gush out of the wounds. The protagonist stared at her with an uncomprehending look, and the girl persistently asked him again, was it he who had set this all up? He was the dark horse among them. She knew how such games worked, so for her, they were the perfect option. MC, not believing his eyes, watched in horror as his hands bled. Yoko asked him to let her hear her, okay? He had picked the wrong guy. She knelt down and continued that he should hope that a small fry like him would get away with this, and how did he dress her? For that, he can be accused of harassment. Hey, can he hear her? The protagonist pressed his wrists together, trying to somehow stop the bleeding. He just wanted to howl from the crazy pain. Yoko said, okay, it's a cultural festival. Might as well have some fun with them, but she needed an incentive for that too. She confessed to him that this feeling was so pleasant. It wasn't a wooden sword or a shinai, it was as if she was really cutting human flesh. Her eyes were shining with an ominous gleam. The protagonist thought with horror that he was finished. Her gaze was fierce, like a demon's. The girl continued that, most of all, she liked chopping off other people's heads. The protagonist resignedly noted that he was about to be killed. Yoko asked him who he would order her to play. Maybe a charming demoness with a sword, or a crazy dancer. Although, in her opinion, it would be better to have a queen of the slashing blade. MC, sitting on his knees and pressing his hands to himself, was silent in response. The girl continued. He likes this kind of thing, right? Beauties with a sword and appetizing forms? In any case, she is now the embodiment of justice, and he is the villain she must kill. The protagonist still could not believe what was happening. Yoko had always been a friendly and bright person. She was good at studying, she had excellent reflexes. They practiced kendo, which is why she was nicknamed a beauty with a sword in her hands. And if she suddenly got going, she was unstoppable. The girl laughed loudly and noted that it was time for justice. In the person of her righteous sword. She raised the sword above her head to strike. The protagonist cowered in fear and screamed. MC himself did not understand where he got his strength from, but he quickly ran away from her. The girl was amazed at his agility, but swung her sword and used the samurai skill, Bodhisattva Strike. It was a technique that mercilessly cut everything in its path. This shockwave caught up with the protagonist and slashed him across the back. He fell to the ground and screamed. Yoko was surprised. She didn't hit him, but the sight of his body lying on the ground said otherwise. She raised the sword in front of her and admired how wonderful this feeling was. This game is no different from reality. No, it's even better than reality. The protagonist, having gathered the last of his strength, tried to crawl away and hide somewhere. He crawled and thought that it was a very strong blow, and this pain deprived him of strength. This girl was real. This is not a dream and not a game, and he will definitely die. The protagonist even imagined Yoko piercing his head with her deadly sword. Gathering his last strength, he stood up, saw a huge pile of dead bodies in front of him, and thought that he had already been here. The sound of footsteps was heard from behind, and the protagonist realized that the girl had approached him. He did not have time to think or understand anything as she cut his body in half. The protagonist, or rather both halves of him, fell to the ground, and Yoko smiled maliciously, with a predatory gleam in her eyes. Hearing his last groans, she said that she, the beautiful princess of the sword, had defeated the evil demon king. She approached his upper half and asked him, well, had she beaten the game now? He did not answer her. The girl called out his name and remarked that this was a good idea for a cultural festival. She thought that they would even win the competition. The protagonist lay motionless and silent. She touched him with her foot and said that he played well. Was he thinking about joining the drama club? Yoko walked away from him, looked around, and asked who was next. Rikuo or Jue? She was ready to fight everyone. The protagonist remained silent. At this time, Hitoshiki asked with a smile, so what should they do with him? Rikuo is a hero. He will have more strength. Kazuo, holding a mug of alcohol in his hands, exclaimed that he would easily defeat everyone, but he can't overcome his dark magic. Hitoshiki objected, saying that he would burn him with his fire. At this time, Toru, studying the participants, thought that every second person here has combat skills, but he does not have any, and this is terribly inconvenient. But wait, he is a scientist. And this angel Maria knew what she was doing. She knew what he is strong and good at. But there is only one choice of hers that he does not understand. Fujisaki. Necromancers are too rare in manga, anime, and games. because of their terrible imbalance. And if he is a necromancer and has dark magic, immortality, as well as the skill of controlling the dead, then he is the strongest of them all. At this time, the protagonist rose from the dead and grew a new pair of arms, which shocked Yoko. His eyes were empty, and a grin appeared on his face. Raising his hands up, Fujisaki called the souls of the dead and began to absorb them. He screamed loudly, and the corpses responded to his call, rising to their feet. Yoko could not believe what was happening. Now in front of her was not a whining classmate, but a dark necromancer and a whole crowd of his subordinates. She herself did not notice how her whole body began to tremble. Could it really be Fujisaki? Now she is not so self-confident. The grinding of bones filled this place, and MC finally opened his black eyes, confidently looking at his rival. She did not understand what kind of monster this was, but as if with a snap of her finger, she, putting her hand to her face, began to laugh loudly. Now everything is clear to her. She sensed something was wrong from him before. So even a brat like him can play the role of an evil demon king who controls creepy zombies? He even suits this outfit. The protagonist clenched his teeth, and she suggested that he forget about his show. She didn't plan on staying here for long. It was time for her to go home. Smiling, Yoko ordered him to release opponents, especially for her, if he had any. Smoke came out of his mouth, and she continued asking questions. Can he even hear her? She wants to go home. In response, the main character only growled furiously. Yoko drew her sword with a dissatisfied face and, sending out a cutting wave, asked, "Is it really impossible to kill him completely in this game?" She understood. Then she would cut him into tiny pieces. She would punish his minions. Yoko used the samurai skill, Darkness of Nirvana. This is a technique that cuts the dead with a supersonic blade, designed to banish them from this world. In an instant, several dead fell, and she shouted, "Can't they respond?" Yoko continued to cut the opponents and thought that the more dead she cuts, the more spiritual power she becomes, overflowing. And from there, it's not far to the ultimate. A moment later, she charged the blade with spiritual power and used the samurai skill, secret technique, Thunderclap of the Hellish Red Lotus. This is the strongest technique, when the fiery blade emits an electric charge and reduces the opponent to ashes. She screamed with a wild smile that she would finish off this bastard. Suddenly, MC screamed, like the dead, weak-willed creatures. He, an alien from another world, releases the grievances of this cursed land. Suddenly, the girl's shadow covered with eyes and hands began to crawl out from there, which began to grab her. Yoko fearfully wondered, is there really someone in the shadow? She can't move her hand? Suddenly, she saw a ghost in the reflection, holding her hand. The main character screamed, like victims of vain death, victims of violent death, and the dead, whose offended souls are chained to this land. Let them absorb the flesh and blood of the living and go to rest. There were a lot of dead people, and they began to bite the girl. Yoko screamed in wild pain, saying that he thought he could live peacefully after what he had done to her. Suddenly, another dead man pierced her body from behind. She looked there and thought that these were the same people she had chopped up. Had she really lost to him? Why should she die because of him? Was this really his revenge? Yoko began to remember how she had bullied him at school. MC screamed again, saying that the dead, their bitterness, and the shackles that bind them to this cursed land can be freed by eating the blood and flesh of a foreigner. Their souls will be freed. Go ahead. And now, he will return them to the homeland of souls, to the Pure Land. In an instant, a spiral hole appeared in the sky, which began to suck in the souls of all the dead. After that, all the zombies fell to the ground, as did the protagonist. After a while, he woke up and, seeing many corpses, screamed in fear. He saw the half-dead Yoko and called out to her in fear. She crawled up to him and said that this pain was too real. They didn't need to put it on display at a cultural festival. Let him come up with something else. It wasn't like she thought. This wasn't a joke, not a cultural festival. This pain, this smell of blood, this fiery sky, it was real. MC screamed in horror that they were sent to another world. Yoko stopped him, saying that was nonsense. Let him call an ambulance. By the way, she was thinking about one thing. All this time, she hadn't been mocking him. She was trying to toughen him up. Suddenly, her soul soared above her body, and she said that she wished him a carefree life. She was sick of her parents' expectations, sick of school, sports, studying, being smart. She was sick of everything, but still, she tried to be good for them all. But he shouldn't put himself in a box. A moment later, her body disappeared, as did the appearance of her soul. MC screamed in fear. Did she really die? He lost consciousness from such a strong shock. After a while, all the participants received a notification. ISEKAI'D, flying on a broom, noted with a smile that a very beautiful view opened up for her. She was really flying. The witch's magic is a comet cutting through the sky. This is a flight magic that allows you to fly freely in the sky with the help of a magic broom. Suddenly, she noticed the notification and quickly flew to Rikuo. At this time, he, sitting under a tree, was already watching this notification. She excitedly screamed, "Did he see?" The guy agreed and added that he was watching this video now. It seems that Fujisaki and Yoko got into a fight. Is this really true? Kaede asked in fear. How could this happen? What do you mean Yoko died? Was she killed by this guy in a ridiculous demon outfit? What is going on, and why are they here? If she really flies on a broomstick and uses weird magic, does that mean they really have to kill each other? Rikuo tried to calm her down, saying that they shouldn't make any unnecessary moves now. They need to think this situation over, otherwise she'll go after Yoko. Kaede asked him if he really thought that Yoko died and that their Fujisaki defeated her. He took his sword and replied that he wanted to wait for the right situation, but apparently there was little time. They needed to find this guy. Not that he fully believed what the screen showed, but if we accept the fact that Fujisaki defeated her. In any case, they need to check on the others on the way. Their class is full of idiots, and this whole battle will definitely turn their world upside down. In the worst case, a real meat grinder will begin in this world. After a while, already on the way, Kaede called out to him and asked how they were going to look for Fujisaki. He replied with a serious face that he had caused quite a fuss in the city. There were probably witnesses. First, they would gather information in the area around the city. She asked how they would know what kind of city it was. How could they tell from just one video? Especially since their map only showed the general landscape and their location. She had no idea where the city was or how big their continent was. Probably the size of Hokkaido. Rikuo replied that he doubted that the place was that big. If they were going to fight, he was sure that they would make sure that the skirmishes happened frequently and regularly. Everything here reminded her of the landscapes of her grandmother in Fukushima. Maybe this world was the size of a prefecture? And if so, it would be easier to navigate through the sky using skills. Kaede asked, so she would be useful to him? He explained that her flying magic could be useful in many places. For example, as he already said, that video with Fujisaki and Yoko could seriously affect the others. There are many students in the class who hold a grudge or anger against him. And at the same time, there are those who do not like her because of his company. In addition, Fujisaki could be somewhere nearby. If danger overtakes her, let her immediately fly away, and let her not even think about him. Kaede sadly said that she can't just leave him like that. She will always be there. Rikuo asked if the fact that she is there raises questions. Is it a coincidence? The girl pressed herself against him and joyfully exclaimed that they are simply connected by the red thread of fate. He noted that his intuition did not fail him. Still, it is not a coincidence. Most likely, their groups in the class were localized nearby and in this world. For example, those who often hung out in the same circle, just like them, moved to one point. Kaede asked with a smile, but is that bad? They are together now. Rikuo replied that they were lucky to be friends with her, but that was not the case with Fujisaki and Yoko. He believed that their school relationship in the past world directly affected their lives here. They needed to protect themselves. She shouldn't worry, he would protect her. Now it was time for them to go. Kaede cried out in tears that no matter what happened, she would never kill him. She would be his friend. Rikuo reciprocated her feelings with a smile. The girl became embarrassed and, sitting on her broom, warned that she was going to fly. She wanted to learn to fly better. He excitedly shouted that she shouldn't fly far. Kaede replied with a smile that he shouldn't worry. If something happened, she would fly to the moon. He shouldn't forget that she had magic, and she also loved him. Already in the air, she excitedly asked if Yoko was really dead. She was popular in the class. I wonder how the others reacted? After a while, Aki, having seen the video of the battle, noted with a smile that she was a loser. She was killed by a moron like Fujisaki. Well, the rules were clear to her. You can kill opponents with skills. She understood the principles of using magic. And this ice magic is just perfect for an ice beauty like her. She turned around and, looking at the frozen participants, asked if they had cooled down. You can't attack a defenseless lady. After all, she was completely new to this world. Well, men are men in another world too. At this time, Yurika, raising a glass of wine, said, "Let Yoko's soul rest in peace on this land." After a while, Rinko, sitting in a pentagram, furiously screamed, saying that she couldn't believe that she was the first to die. She was presenting this soul to Satan. Let it be dirty and vicious, but she hoped that Satan would like it. Wonderful Fujisaki burst into this world. Unbelievable, this is her betrothed. Rinko turned to the little devil and asked if he could see him. This is her chosen one. Let him use his hellish eyes, ears, and nose, and let him find Fujisaki for her. If they join forces, they will not give the others a chance. They will send their souls to hell, and when there are two of them left, she will give him her life, and then their love will be eternal. After some time, Jue, having watched the video, said that he does not understand the situation at all. For now, he should find himself an ally, and as soon as possible. After some time in the church, Kotaro, the priest, said that they came to this world at the call of the goddess. She gave them a test to destroy evil. Kodama, the exorcist, added that this world reveals the true nature of people. Fujisaki was a demon all this time. He noticed that he was not the only one. Many of their acquaintances turned into demonic forms. The girl said that she had noticed this for a long time. An abnormal stench permeated the entire classroom. Kotaro nobly said that they will not allow them to return to their world. They will die here. Sometime later, Hitoshiki, holding a mug of alcohol in his hands, said that he always believed in him. He knew that Fujisaki would definitely do something like this. And here it is. He went and killed Yoko without hesitation. Kazuo noted that he was already seeing move to another world and killed the strongest classmate light novels on the shelves. Hitoshiki exclaimed that it was really sad. They had lost such potential for lust. Kazuo added that there had been so many conversations about her huge breasts and thick thighs. He raised his mug and said that he proposed to drink to her sad death. Kazuo pounced on Toru and said that they needed to find Fujisaki. Hitoshiki also approached him and added that they needed to join his team to gain strength. He thought with a serious face, what kind of nonsense was this? Hadn't they been bothering him more than anyone else? He didn't expect Fujisaki to become such a monster, although he had a good idea about killing Yoko. But if things continue like this, they will be his next target. I wonder what the others think about this situation. Someone is probably happy, someone is sad, afraid, filled with the desire to kill, angry. An extracurricular activity on destruction in another world, the end of the second day. After some time, on the 5th day of the extracurricular activity, Taiki, an air mage, holding a bag of food in his hands, wondered how he got into this mess. But it was not the time to be sad. Any trouble can be solved with a positive attitude, especially since now he is not alone and he has someone to protect. He entered the house and happily told Nako that he bought them some fruit. She thanked him and added that he was a very good and reliable guy. She was glad that he was with her.